These are among the most infamous female serial killers in history, with many of these women's stories having been adapted into films, which are included on the list of the best serial killer movies ever. Most, but not all, of these notorious female murderers are from the USA. You might also enjoy this list, from the first woman serial killer to other women murderers. This list has some of the most violent and brutal killers in history. While there are fewer known female serial killers than male, the women on this list of female serial killers rank among America's most famous serial killers of all time and committed thousands of murders collectively. A woman serial killer might be more rare than men, but they still dot the pages of history and have left their mark. Whether you're interested in female mass murderers and women killers from a historical standpoint, want to know where they've come from, or what drove them to kill, there's a wealth of information. Today, we are going to talk about top 5 women serial killers in the world. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more upcoming videos. Number 5. Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos was an American serial killer and sex worker who murdered 7 men in Florida in 1989 and 1990 by shooting them at point-blank range. Wuornos was born Aileen Carol Pittman in Rochester, Michigan, on February 29, 1956. Her mother, Diane Wuornos, born 1939, was 14 years old when she married Aileen's father, 16-year-old Leo Dale Pittman, 1937 to 1969, on June 3, 1954. Aileen Wuornos was working as a sex worker, and she was executed for the murders of 6 different men between December 1989 to November 1990. She confessed to shooting men who picked her up hitchhiking in self-defense after she claimed they beat or raped her, a claim that she later recanted. Wuornos was sentenced to death in 1992 and was executed by lethal injection on October 9, 2002. Her story was portrayed in the film Monster, with Charlize Theron playing Wuornos. Number 4. Dorothea Puente. Dorothea Helen Puente was an American convicted serial killer and cooker. In the 1980s, Puente ran a boarding house in Sacramento, California and murdered various elderly and mentally disabled boarders before cashing their Social Security checks. Her total count reached 9 confirmed murders and 6 unconfirmed. Dorothea Puente's crimes were revealed in 1988 after homicide detectives searched for a missing man at his last known address, Puente's house in Sacramento, California. Body parts were discovered buried in her backyard and authorities soon learned they belonged to 4 women and 3 men, ranging from the ages of 52 to 79. Puente was accused of poisoning her tenants with prescription drugs for their Social Security checks. She fled the city but was eventually apprehended in Los Angeles, and was tried for 9 murders. 2 other killings were attributed to her. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after she was found guilty on 2 counts first-degree murder and 1 count of second-degree murder. Puente died at the age of 82 while incarcerated at Central California Women's Facility. Number 3. Juana Barraza. Juana Barraza, born the 27th of December 1957, is a Mexican serial killer and former professional wrestler sentenced to 759 years in prison for killing between 42 and 49 elderly women. Juana Barraza was dubbed the Mata Viejitas, or Little Old Lady Killer, after 16 elderly women were found strangled to death in Mexico City in 2005. Only 11 were confirmed. The first murder attributed to Mata Viejitas has been dated variously to the late 1990s and to a specific killing on the 17th of November 2003. The authorities and the press have given various estimates as to the total number of her victims, with estimates ranging from 24 to 49 deaths. According to The Guardian, forensic profilers believe Barraza's killings were to release the rage she had towards her own alcoholic mother, who gave her away at age 12 to a man who abused her. She used objects such as phone cables, tights, or her stethoscope to strangle her victims. She became one of Mexico's most prolific serial killers and was eventually sentenced to 759 years in prison for 11 separate counts of murder. She is still in prison today. Number 2. Jane Toppan. Jane Toppan, March 31, 1854 to August 17, 1938, born Honora Kelly, was an American serial killer, nicknamed Jolly Jane. After her arrest in 1901, she confessed to 31 murders, but only 12 were confirmed. Toppin is quoted as saying that her ambition was to have killed more people, helpless people, than any other man or woman who ever lived. Jane Toppin was born Honora Kelly and known as Nora, but her name was changed to Jane Toppin after she was taken in by the Toppin family as an indentured servant. She later became a nurse and was called Jolly Jane because of her cheerful demeanor. However, she was secretly experimenting with drugs such as morphine and atropine on her patients and then started poisoning specific people in her life, one of them being her foster sister, Elizabeth Brigham. Toppin confessed to Brigham's killing in 1902. "I held her in my arms and watched with delight as she gasped her life out." She later admitted to killing at least 31 people, but a jury found her not guilty by reason of insanity, so Toppin was sent to Taunton State Hospital for life. She claimed the reason behind her murderous ways was because the man she loved at 16 left her for another woman. "If I had been a married woman, I probably would not have killed all of those people. I would have had my husband, my children, and my home to take up my mind," she said. Number 1. Elizabeth Bathory. Elizabeth Bathory was a wealthy and powerful Hungarian noblewoman whose relations included an uncle who was King of Poland and a nephew who was Prince of Transylvania. In 1610 she was accused of gruesome acts of serial murder and confined to her home of Castle Cashtis, where she remained until her death. Elizabeth Bathory was whispered to be a vampire because of her bloodlust. After she married a count in 1575, sources say that her husband built her a torture chamber in their castle where, according to History.com, Bathory enjoyed jamming pins and needles under the fingernails of her servant girls, and tying them down, smearing them with honey, and leaving them to be attacked by bees and ants. After she moved on from servant girls to targeting the daughters of local nobles, Bathory's crimes were discovered and she was convicted for 80 counts of murder in 1611 and confined to a room of the castle that is said to have only had slits for food and air. She died 3 years later in 1614. That's a wrap for the top 5 women serial killer of all time. What do you think about our list? Let us know in the comment section below. And make sure to subscribe to our channel before you go. See you in the next video.